Okay, did network equipment giant Cisco falsify records to hide sales to Russia that violate Western sanctions? Well, Cisco denies these allegations, but a confidential source tells BuzzFeed reporter Aram Roston that is exactly what happened in Russia, and that equipment was even sold to Russia's FSB. That's the modern-day equivalent of the KGB, or secret police, in Russia. Aram Roston is joining me now with this exclusive investigation. So, Aram, for those who haven't been able to read your extensive piece, I read it this morning. Lay out exactly what you found in these documents, which, by the way, Cisco says are authentic. These internal emails and files that you found. What exactly are they saying?
What these documents do is lay out a series of, well, name changes in customer accounts in Cisco's Russian sales. That's one of the things they do. And these name changes took place after sanctions went into place against Russia. These are a particular type of sanction. And in another case, we found that these documents lay out a way in which the named customer for a piece of equipment was certainly not one that was listed. And these things all happen in a particular time frame. And I'm sorry.
Well, okay. So, Aram, so basically, the accusation is that Cisco executives in Russia changed the names of these companies to hide the fact that this equipment, which can be used for both military and civilian use, was actually going to ultimately the military.
That's the allegation, exactly. Okay. We had a series of documents, and then a source said the intent of the changes was to conceal the ultimate users here.
Okay, and Cisco says, and this is where I got confused here, Cisco says, well, yes, they changed these names, but they wanted to make them more accurate. What does that mean?
Well, that's exactly it. It's puzzling, but their point is somewhat clear when they make it. What they're saying is, in one case, for example, there was a deal being negotiated with what the accounts show was the Ministry of Defense. And then there was a project under that. Then a lot of Ministry of Defense orders were canceled because of sanctions. And then later, the next month, the name was changed from Ministry of Defense to Slavyanka. That was the name it was changed to. In other words, it no longer said Ministry of Defense on the sheet that they were using. So the Slavyanka is actually a company owned by the Ministry of Defense. So Cisco says this was an attempt to simply be more accurate by removing the name Ministry of Defense and putting in the name Slavyanka. It was more accurate, and then they said they submitted it to the Dutch authorities, who declined to allow that to be shipped because of who Slavyanka belonged to. Now, the source is saying that, in essence, this change, which came about as the chronology, as I've explained the chronology, the source says this was meant to, hide the fact that the Ministry of Defense was the real customer.
Well, could it be possible, Aram, that these might be just some mistakes that were made by Cisco executives that simply, they had no idea even that this company was related to the Ministry of Defense. They were just trying to be more accurate. And could
they knew it was related. They're saying they knew it was related to the Ministry of Defense. They knew it was owned by the Ministry of Defense. They're simply saying that because it was a sort of a subdivision of the Ministry of Defense, they renamed it at that period in time to make it more clear, rather than to hide the issue.
Okay, so what do we know? So what are we talking about here? Give me the numbers, Aram. What are we talking about in terms of business that was made during this time?
Well, Cisco does hundreds of millions of dollars worth of business in Russia. There's no doubt about that. Some of it is with the government. Obviously, the government there is one of the biggest. Well, they're the ones that have the most money to buy things these days. In October, we found that 1.7 million in sales had to be canceled, and shipments had to be canceled because of the sanctions. It's obviously not a huge amount of money.
No.
But clearly, to those involved, it was something significant.
Okay, and explain to me how the Chamber of Commerce is involved in all of this, because isn't there there's this whole role of the Chamber of Commerce and how they were buying equipment that ended up in the hands of the FSB, maybe to the knowledge of the Cisco executives. Explain this.
Here we have some competing accounts, but what is clear is in Cisco's books, the Chamber of Commerce was listed as a customer for quite a bit of equipment. We tallied up 500,000 to something like that. So the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of the Russian Federation was listed as a customer. The source said, in fact, that was kind of it was intentionally concealing the fact that the actual customers were banned consumers of these products, were military and intelligence agencies. Cisco acknowledged to us that the Chamber of Commerce was not, in fact, the customer. But it said the sales that was booking under the Chamber of Commerce belonged to another agency called the Ministry of Industry and Trade. And they said that was a harmless glitch, an accident, and a sort of bookkeeping error. And that was their account. So the story of the FSB Academy was intriguing because there was an actual Cisco agreement to equip the FSB Academy, the training academy for the FSB.
Right.
And this was canceled because of the sanctions. And then we saw that very similar, or in many cases identical equipment was being ordered for this Chamber of Commerce. And then, so the issue was, where was that equipment eventually going? Right.
So was it a cover, essentially? Aram, thank you so much for this exclusive reporting by you, BuzzFeed reporter Aram Roston, on Cisco skirting possible sanctions in Russia. And Cisco, as we just want to note to you, said that they deny these accusations in this BuzzFeed report. So we just want to make sure we get that on the record. Now.